welcome back to another video. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be going over a few books that I think you should look into reading or even purchasing if you are in a Master's in Counseling program or a related type of graduate program. But first, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all who have signed up for my grad advising services so far. If you missed the announcement in my previous video, I'll do a quick little recap. Basically, I am now doing grad advising services via Zoom. I have 3 options. You can do a Q&A with me for an hour. I am also offering personal statement proofreading and editing and a 30-minute follow-up meeting to talk about any changes you might be able to make to your personal statement. And then the third one, which seems to be the most popular so far given the time of year we're in, is the grad school interview practice and preparation. If this sounds like something you might be interested in, the link to it is on my channel page, and I will also put it in the description box below, but it's calendly.com/DarianCorey, and that is where you will sign up for an appointment and be able to pick an available time slot. Anyways, jumping into my book recommendations. So first, this one probably seems pretty obvious, but if you're in a Master's in Counseling program, you're going to want to have some sort of variation of the DSM-5. This one is just the shortened desk reference, so basically it just has all of the categories and then the criteria for each disorder. It doesn't go into like the full-blown details like the full version does. I tabbed it myself, as you can see, with all the categories just so it's easier to flip to. But depending on your specialization, for example, if you are in the mental health specialization of counseling, you're definitely going to want the full version. But if you're in a different specialization where you may not be diagnosing as much, then the desk reference I think is more than enough. But as long as you have some type of the DSM-5, I think you should be good to go. So next, if you are interested in a Master's in Counseling program or clinical psychology or counseling psychology, what have you, you probably already know about Dr. Yalom. I believe he's a psychiatrist, but he has lots of great books on the subject of therapy. His books are actually part of the reason why I became interested in psychology and counseling. But this book of his is called The Gift of Therapy, an open letter to a new generation of therapists and their patients. And he basically just goes through and describes some of his clinical experiences and gives you a few pieces of advice and how to navigate being a therapist and working with your clients and all of that. For example, how much should you disclose to them about yourself or your personal life? How do you give feedback to them in a sensitive yet assertive manner? What do you do if you make a mistake? Should you go to therapy yourself? And all of that good stuff. I don't want to give too much of it away, but definitely grab a copy of this if you can. The next one I would recommend is also by Dr. Yalom, and it's called Every Day Gets a Little Closer, a Twice Told Therapy. This one is really cool because it basically details the therapeutic relationship between him and one of his clients. Basically, he would write a chapter about how he perceived the counseling session or therapy session, and then the next chapter, the client would describe how they felt about the session. So it's really cool to see both perspectives. For example, you'll learn in this book that sometimes the interpretations that you make in a counseling session for your client you think are awesome and the best part of the session, while something as minor as you complimenting their outfit or their hair that day is what meant the most to them. So definitely look into that if you're interested. Next, if you have taken a family therapy class or a couples therapy class, you've probably heard of John and Julie Gottman. They have their own method of couples therapy called the Gottman method, and this book basically details that. It's called The 10 Principles for Doing Effective Couples Therapy, and it's written by them both. Basically, if you're not aware, John is more of the researcher while Julie's more of the clinical expert. To be honest, even if you're not at all interested in doing couples therapy, I think there's something to be learned from this book for just about everyone. It can teach you a lot about being in a relationship and marriage somewhere down the line. So if you're interested, definitely look at that. The next one I would recommend, especially if you are in the practicum or internship phase of your grad program, is called The Counseling Practicum and Internship Manual. This is the 3rd edition by Shannon Hodges, and basically this book covers just about everything you might encounter in a practicum and internship experience, from how to take session notes, to how to terminate therapy, to what to do if a client discloses something personal to you, like suicidal ideation. Everything's covered in here, and it also has some good additional information in the back of the book, like all of the professional organizations for counselors, and all of the state licensure board requirements for each state, which is really helpful. I've noticed that's a question I get a lot, is people in different states asking like what are the real requirements for being an LPC or LMHC or whatever it is. This details it out all for you state by state. So right now I'm on Florida, but they have everything in there and it tells you everything you need from educational requirements to experiential requirements to what exam you need to take. So this would be a really good resource for that, especially if you are interested in moving outside of the state that you're getting your degree in. This can show you how easy it would be to transfer your license across state lines, or reciprocity they call it, of your license. So definitely take a look at that. And lastly, if you have to take the NCE or National Counselor Examination at the end of your program, you've probably heard of this book. It's often referred to as the Purple Book, but this is the book that most professors I have spoke with recommend for studying. It just has a bunch of practice questions in each of the categories you're tested on, and then little explanations after each question of why the answer is the answer. So it's called The Encyclopedia of Counseling by Howard Rosenthal. It's the 4th edition, but I found this is a really good resource for practicing for the exam. But that is all I have for you today. Those are my book recommendations if you are going into the counseling or psychology field. I hope that was helpful and you found at least one book that you are interested in learning more about and possibly grabbing. Thank you all so much for watching, and again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and schedule an appointment with me on my website. But other than that, that is all I have, so I will see you all in the next video.